Hey, my name's Chris Lambert, co-host of Watching the Throne, a lyrical analysis of Kanye West, the number one Kanye podcast. And this right here, this is the Kanye news rundown for June 26, 2018. And we're starting off with drama. Drama regarding the Teyana Taylor Keep That Same Energy release. This time, Kanye accused of stealing Numero Group sample for the album. And there's been a lot of drama for Kanye with the Teyana Taylor album, starting off first with the fact that it was the last one, moving into louder outcries because the listening party wasn't promoted as heavily as a listening party for Ye, Kids See Ghost, or Nasir. Ye, we knew it was going to happen a little bit beforehand, like days beforehand. Same with Kids See Ghosts. Nasir, it was kind of a day of thing, I feel like, or the day before. With Teyana Taylor, it was that day and we weren't sure a listening party was going to happen. It was kind of hours before the event and we weren't sure a listening party was going to happen. So on Twitter, a lot of people were vocally upset with Kanye for not promoting Teyana as well as the others. But she still had her listening party, though people were then upset because it had technical difficulties in a way that it didn't feel like the other listening parties had. Following that, there was more drama for Kanye as the album took over 24 hours to release. It was supposed to come out Friday at midnight and didn't release until sometime Saturday morning. So there was a lot of flack there. Vocal social media unhappiness. And a lot of that delay, all of that delay, aside from mixing, was from trying to clear samples. So apparently Kanye released the album when he did with a few samples not cleared yet, which is why drama has followed with there only being 7 tracks instead of the 9 that they're supposed to be, which means that we're getting a re-release this upcoming Friday with the songs finally having the sample clearance. But that's created a whole other wave of criticism of Kanye and how that's been handled. And now this, the album itself, having a sample that wasn't cleared. And it's from the track Issues Hold On, and a track from Numero Group's 2010 Body Recording Company box set. And the co-founder of the company, Rob Rob. I want to be explicit that while we haven't actually heard anything from Kanye's team about the sample, we're in the midst of multiple other clearances, and I don't want to imply that they don't intend to clear it. So it will most likely be a moot point in the long run, but it's just another moment of drama in the progression of this album. That's just been a series of dramatic moments for Kanye and criticisms for Kanye. And they cite in this article that there was an uncleared sample from I Thought About Killing You. One of the things that this doesn't mention here is on the tweet which called out the sample from Pan. Kanye samples Mono, No Aware, Shake My Head. We get Francis from Francis and the Lights coming in. Yo, I'm sorry I added that beat at the last minute and we're reaching out now. Do you want to know anything else about it? It's not Kanye or anyone else's doing, but mine. So please direct any aggression or criticism at me. Good on Francis for taking ownership of that. So more drama. We'll see what drama follows with the Teyana album. One of the moments, and I think she kind of summed it up best. I would probably have to blame a little bit of everybody because of the fact that we set a date and we had a listening party and then we had clearance issues. I'm outside the industry, so maybe I just don't know how it should go. But I would imagine generally you have the clearance issues handled way ahead of time. But we know that Kanye was working on the album on his flight back from Paris to LA hours before the listening party. So does that mean he was adding samples in last minute and then trying to get clearance last minute? Does it mean that just nobody was on the clearance issue until really late in the project? I don't know. I'd like to know. I don't know. If you know, please let me know, because that would be great. Moving on, we have good old Trent Reznor, who's pretty angry at Kanye these days. He thinks Kanye and The Weeknd ripped off Nine Inch Nails live shows. And he speaks of screens and experimental production techniques, adding, "I remember us watching a string of bands at Coachella from the comfort of our couch, and every band has a video playing behind them, and every band is synced up with a convenient, polite lighting package." And that seems kind of standard today. I feel like many concerts that I've not just been to, but seen footage of, have something in the way of video playing or lighting package. Which, if that was an innovation of Nine Inch Nails, I don't know enough about Nine Inch Nails tour history to really comment on that. If you do know a lot about Nine Inch Nails tour history, please let me know. And I'd be very curious about that. But it seems like that's a huge innovation, but something that once you do it, can you really blame other people for doing it? It feels just kind of like a standard thing. We used video. Great. You don't really have ownership of using video. But he said that he saw Kanye West blatantly rip off and The Weeknd rip off our tours production-wise, which I'll say without any hesitation, and they know. There's no further information on that, and, you would expect me, producing content, to maybe look into that and do some research. But I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So if you're somebody that finds this topic interesting and wants to do that research and makes a video of it, I will gladly comment on that and include that in one of our news updates. If you just want to do some research and let me know what you find, I will gladly use that in one of our upcoming episodes to further elaborate. Otherwise, we'll just all be clueless for the rest of time. But it's very curious to see why Trent thinks that specifically. If there's a specific thing in the shows, or if it's just really some bullshit like, we had lighting that went along to the music. Oh man, nobody else can ever do that. Kanye West Wyoming sessions were a failure of his own doing. So this is an article by Brian Raleigh. Last week, Brian had a really cool article on Forbes that was comparing how Jay-Z and Beyonce talk about wealth on Everything Is Love versus how Kanye addressed wealth just in general, but on Ye. And that was a pretty objective juxtaposition between the two artists. And it was an article that I really liked, to the point where I went on Twitter and praised Brian for that. So you can imagine my reaction when I read this. I went on Twitter and gave Brian my critique of it. And this is kind of the opposite of that. It's very one-sided opinionated, but presented in an objective way, rather than actually being objective and looking at the conversation in a more dynamic way. Like, yet even the best timing in the world could it have saved the next West Helm project, Nas's 11th studio album, Nasir. Critics have always dunked on the Illmatic rapper for using clunky beats that fall short of his dazzling lyricism, and they hoped West's production flair would provide a much-needed antidote. Instead, the rapper and producer sound wholly incompatible, and Nasir comes off as a bloated and outdated with clunky samples and cheesy pop hooks that expose the MC's shortcomings rather than play to his strengths. And that's one of those sentences where it's all opinion. There's nothing justifying any of those views. There's no evidence of that. There's no examples of that. So while it sounds very commanding or very learned in that, like, I know what I'm talking about, there's nothing that justifies that. Somebody else could easily say that Nasir sounds full and illuminating and flows together brilliantly and is exactly what the culture needs right now. It's just as valid because there's no examples of why that is, right? Like, you're not showing how it's clunky. You're not showing how it's illuminating. That's really where we need critics to operate, not just to make the statement, but to show how they arrived at that statement. And any piece that tries to do that and doesn't, to me, is a critical failure. Even if it's praising the album or critical of the album, you're still failing to actually illustrate why. So I found this just disappointing in that way, as I've found so many music reviews. Yeah. So if you want to be irate about music criticism, this is a good article for it. If you just want an article, if you're already like angry at the Wyoming sessions and you want an article that's going to fuel that rage, this is the article for you. Otherwise, if you don't want to engage with any of that, then don't fucking read this. For you real estate fans that happen to be Kanye fans, Kim and Kanye West's 18 million former Bel Air mansion is already back on the market. That's pretty much it. But if you want to see some cool pictures of the place, I don't know how often we got to see pictures of it while they were living in it, but it's just kind of cool to see, like, that's what it looked like. And I think that's their new home, which is just still insane. I think that's before the renovations, where they tore out all of the backyard, but still, I need to see the tour of that one day. Okay. Some pieces of Kanye West's Yeezy. Well, I just read that completely wrong. Some of Kanye West's Yeezy pieces have just gone on sale. So this is this exciting article where it's like you can now cop some of the Yeezy pieces. I keep wanting to call them Yeezy pieces as like Reese's pieces. You can cop some of these things: t-shirts, hoodies, crew necks, caps. I was all excited and I clicked, and this is all that's left. 2 Calabasas shirts, $60 each though, and telling you that the Yeezy Boost Butter comes out this weekend, which none of us will probably get. So whatever sale was there. Oh yeah, this doesn't seem like the sale, but there's much more available than what I initially thought when I was making this. So if you just want to shop some Yeezy stuff, there's a lot of options. Yo, those sweatshirts look so comfortable though, but I'm not spending $160 on them. But one day Kanye will just be like, here's a sweatshirt for you, man. And I'll be like, yes. One of the last things, just 2 more left. Australian activewear, why Kanye West, the Kardashians, and other influencers love it. And we have seen athleisure become a huge thing. So if you're one of the people that really into fashion trends, especially Kanye and fashion trends, this article from South China Morning Post gets into it. So it just details a lot of the Australian athletic wear manufacturers that are part of this athleisure movement, ending with 2XU, which is the one that Kanye has paired with for the last several Yeezy seasons. But athleisure becoming huger and huger. And then lastly, we have Kanye. He had tweeted this out and then deleted the tweets. But this is what he had tweeted. This dude from the Spaghetti Boys made this short film for the Wyoming sessions. So how long is this shit? 12 minutes and 40 seconds? And not the Wyoming sessions, but the Ye release itself. So it just kind of tracks flying into Wyoming, getting to the place, interviewing various people. It's comedic, it's fun. You get moments of seeing Kanye. You don't really get an interview with Kanye himself, but definitely worth watching. You can go to wegotlove.com and see it. get to see some freestyles from people. It's cool. And that's it. That does it for the rundown. One of the things, I don't know how to fucking point. There. So that's one of the shirts that we have for sale right now on watchingthethrone.com. If you want to cop, that would help us out. All the money goes to us, so would be much appreciated. If you want to support us and show off your Kanye West fandom. Also, I don't know what to fucking do anymore with this bottom area. So if you have any suggestions of what you'd want to see there, if it's still just a rundown of what the episode is about, if it's marketing, or just what the latest podcast episode is, anything, art that you want to send our way, we'll put your fucking art down there. I'm swearing a lot more in this episode, and I don't fucking know why, but it feels fucking good. So, yeah, if you have any suggestions, let us know. And also, I'm excited to announce 2 things. I'll do that in a separate video. I'm just going to end this one. I'll make another video. Join us for that video. I'm just making hand gestures at the camera. Goodbye.